let's talk about team culture. A lot of what you talk about with hospitality and kindness and generosity, obviously it affects the customers, which is what we're here for, but it also affects the team. So what do you think makes up a great team culture, if you had to sum it up?
Well, yeah, and I would go so far as to say you start with the team, because if you're not investing that same amount of energy into your team, your chances of succeeding in delivering any sort of reasonable level of service or hospitality to the guest is, well, you're not going to succeed, right? Like you start, I can only touch so many tables in the restaurants, right? I need to make sure I'm investing in my team such that they're doing what I would be doing with the tables if I were there. I think there's two things. In no particular order. I think the first thing that's so important in any culture is normalizing feedback, both praise and criticism. Identifying the power of praise, right? I think when people do a good job, getting your entire team to understand how important it is to consistently catch people doing things right and celebrate them publicly and with emotion. Because praise is addictive. The moment you get it, that's the same moment you want to get more of it. But criticism is as important, if not more important. One of the things I say is praise is affirmation, but criticism is investment. And when I say normalize a culture of feedback, it's getting your entire team to not get defensive when they are criticized, but rather to understand that when someone on the team takes the time to criticize them, that's actually the most profound way that person could possibly invest in that person's growth. So creating a culture where feedback, positive and constructive, is delivered consistently, and creating a culture where people are welcoming of criticism and not just of praise. I think the second thing is building a culture of collaboration, though, and I think that's perhaps the most important thing. Creating an environment and building the systems such that every single person on the team has an opportunity to speak into the direction you're going. Giving people that sense of ownership, giving them the ability not just to be in a position where they're executing someone else's vision, but where they're able to influence where you're going based on their own ideas and their own creativity. The moment that people on your team feel a sense of ownership in where you're going, they're going to work that much harder to help you get there. And, man, I don't know of any organization where the collective brainpower and creativity of the entire group isn't dramatically greater than that of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 people at the top.
Wow, that's powerful. And I heard you say, criticize in private without emotion and praise publicly with emotion. And that is powerful for growth, along with collaboration and creating the right systems and empowering your teams and giving them the resources to run. And that's where people thrive, and you can see them enjoy their work, and that affects the end product and the customer. And so there's a direct correlation there that you can't have one without the other.
Yeah. No, especially if you're inviting everyone on the team to the table, so to speak, in whatever capacity you choose to, you also need to make sure that you're investing enough in their professional growth such that they're well equipped to be at that table. The two definitively go hand in hand.
So how do you specifically do this in the restaurant industry? Because that's a high turnover, volatile industry. It went through a lot during the pandemic, and you were one of the folks on the front lines fighting for these small businesses, for these restaurants. How do you do that in the restaurant industry with so much turnover and everyone, they're going to go to the next restaurant over there if there's any more room for growth and one more dollar?
I think being a good leader is obviously having the confidence and the conviction to say to your team, this is where we're going. And for a long time, that's all that was expected of a good leader, right? Like people were just looking to follow the person that was able to say, we are going there, because I do believe people crave leadership. But at some point over the last 30 years, people aren't satisfied with that alone. They also need to understand why they're going there. They need to have a really good sense of understanding of not just where they're going, but why should they be inspired and compelled to want to follow you. I think there's nuanced ways to inspire collaboration and collective creativity, which is just making sure that you encourage people, that you share, your doors are always open, and then that the first time someone comes to you with an idea, you handle it in the right way, because that first time you can either extinguish that flame, and they are very hard to light once you have, or you can still get to the point that it becomes a bonfire. But I think there's systems you can set up. Every year, for the first day of the year, some years it was the first couple days of the year, we would close our restaurant and we would do a strategic planning meeting. Now, to the point of telling people why they should follow you, we had our mission statement, and the mission statement changed a couple times over the 15 or so years I was there, but every year we had our vision statement. So this is what we want to accomplish this year. And then we'd have 3 strategies, the things that we wanted to focus on to help us accomplish that. And then the entire day, or 2 days or 3 days, depending on the year, would be the team coming with specific and actionable ideas to help us with those strategies accomplish that vision. And the ideas that came out of those meetings were some of the ideas that I really believe took us to the top. And so, okay, that's a system, right? You are investing time and money. It costs money to close your business to the public. You are giving people a sense of ownership in where you're going. And in response to that, you're getting great ideas, and you're getting people who feel much more connected to your mission because they had a hand in writing it. The last part, which I've seen some people adopt the strategy but miss this last thing, which is so, so important, is to make sure when someone on your team has an idea and it's good enough to put into effect, you need to make sure you shine a light on those people and celebrate them like crazy for being the person that helped move you forward. It's important to bring people to the table. It's important to mind their creativity. It's perhaps the most important to give them all the credit when they do.